Long as they ain't come across the water and sitting in the ocean somewhere on it.
It is 6 o'clock. We're going to call this meeting to order. We're going to start by doing the Pledge of Allegiance led by Isaac and Adrian Brown. If y'all would stand with us.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank y'all very much. Token of our appreciation for you. Thank y'all for being here again. Alderman Miller, would you lead the invocation?
Thank you. Heavenly Father, once again, Lord, we are so thankful for this day. Then we thank you, Lord, for your covering these last few days. We thank you, Lord, for all the volunteers. We ask you, Heavenly Father, continue to look out over the families as they go through this traumatic experience. Within, Lord, we thank you for the opportunity you're giving each and every one of us to serve in whatever capacity it might be. We ask you, Lord, that our service will not be in vain, that be pleasing in thy sight. These thanks are in the Son, Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Could I have a motion to approve the amended agenda? Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion passes. Can I have a motion to approve the docket of claim numbers listed on the agenda?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion passes. Item 6 is to approve the minutes from the regular Mayor and Board of Aldermen meeting of May 6th. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Item 7 is to approve the minutes from the special emergency Mayor and Board of Aldermen meeting on May 19th at 2025, and we'll do a roll call vote. Is there a motion from one of the members who attended the meeting?
Motion.
Second.
We'll have a roll call vote.
Alderman Wicker.
Aye.
Alderwoman Ross.
Aye.
Alderman Piper.
Aye.
Alderman Harris.
Aye.
Alderwoman Lynch.
Abstain.
Alderman Miller.
Abstain.
Alderman Robinson.
And the motion passes. Just so everybody's aware of what that was, is when we had the tornado or the straight line winds, whichever your neighborhood was affected by. All of these aldermen were up and about that evening, but 2 of them came in person, 2 called in, and we had a special meeting at about 12:30 in the morning to declare an emergency. So that's what we just voted to approve those minutes. And I want to thank this board for their stick-to-itness.
We got to give a shout out to the local Waffle House for feeding a few of us afterwards too. 'Cause we were definitely-
The Waffle House was the only place you could get coffee in town that
hey,
night.
You can depend on them.
Item 8 is the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. I'm trying to find my donations docket. Thank you. So item 9 is the donations docket. I just wanted to point out a couple of things. We always have people who are donating to the animal control. McFarland Construction donated this time, and Brandon Hart did. But I also wanted to point out that some of the businesses were pitching in as we've been through this emergency together. AWG sent us a pallet of bottled water. Whataburger sent 100 dinners over to our cooling room area we had last night for citizens and police and fire to take in. And Domino's Pizza provided pizzas for all of our city workers yesterday as well. So could I have a motion to approve the donations document?
In conjunction with that, we also want to recognize Domino's Pizza. Not only did they supply the city workers, but places that did not have license thing, today they brought hot pizza down there and served them also today. So they not only served the city workers, but they served the citizens that they were aware of that didn't have a hot meal.
Thank you for pointing that out.
They also.
All right, item 10 is the personnel docket. Can I have a motion on that? Oh, did we vote on the donations docket, or did I get carried away?
Motion. Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Item 10 is the personnel docket.
Motion.
Oh, second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And that motion passes. Item 11 is a presentation of a community service award for our good friend Stacy Pirtle. We can still call her Principal Stacy Pirtle until she retires. She has had a lot to do with the growth of our children at Oak Grove Central Elementary School. She's created a positive school culture and school traditions that focus on building relationships, celebrating and encouraging the students and staff, and making school fun for the kids and a place they can develop and grow. She's been leading the team, and she's worked real hard to grow each child academically, socially, and emotionally. And since she's been there, the school has had a significant increase in reading and math proficiency. DeSoto County Raise the Bar Award was won by this school in 2018. They won the Preps Award in 2022 and 24, and they have ranked an A school for the last 8 years. About 15 years ago, that wasn't really where we saw Oak Grove Elementary. And to become an A school was a big deal, and to keep that A school rating, we appreciate that. And they rank in the top elementary schools in DeSoto County. Those are just some of the things we know about Stacy. What I do know about her, even beyond that, is when they were donating food last night, she wanted to bring some stuff over from the school to help the people. And there was one day back during the ice storm, we had this local ice storm, and they were getting ready to open the schools back up in, was it January or February? January. And so all the schools were getting ready to open. The ice had all thawed, but the ice had not thawed right where they dropped the kids off in front of the school. So her and Superintendent Usselton were out there shoveling together and spreading the salt, and I think that says a whole lot about what you do. So I'm going to read this in grateful recognition of your commitment to serving others in your community. On this day, the City of Hernando presents this award to Stacy Pirtle, Principal, Oak Grove Central Elementary. If you would come up and accept this.
And Mary, while you're coming, I also like to talk about our community service. A few years ago, we taken up on a group of us to recognize the school where she is the principal at, because that school was the first school that was built for minority. And her leadership and her help in getting that done was off the chain. I mean, she whatever was needed, she supplied it. And then back in November, that school was recognized as being there for 65 years. And her and her staff, they opened up the building. I mean, whatever it could do to make that possible, because of the significance of that historical site that she's involved in. And so we want to, and that's my second principal there, so. But, I mean, she's a jewel, so appreciate it.
We want to hand you this small award from us, and would you let us take a picture with you? Absolutely. This is your deal.
This is my grandson.
You want to say anything, Ms. Porter?
Thank you so much for this. This is such an honor. It's been an honor for the last 8 years to be in 17 years in administration. Passed the reins over to an amazing, actually worked under me at Lake Cornwall, so I'm so excited that she will. Tight in that section is very, very important. It's important for this community. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Yep. Ms. Pearl, y'all don't have to stay for the whole meeting, but your husband has to stay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 12 is the approval of surplus items in the court department that have no value.
Motion. Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Item 13 is the approval of surplus and dispose of the items listed in the police department.
Motion. Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion passes. Item 14, Austin, if you would come up and present that, was PL 1890, the northeast corner of Mackinville and I-269.
Yes, sir. PL 1890, the request is a zoning map amendment, preliminary development plan approval for the Mackinville Exchange. The request is to rezone the property to PUD. The parcel 68 acres on the north side of 69, east of Mackinville Road. Michelle Yee is with Dahlhoff Designs here representing the application. Ben Johnson's representing the owner as well. The site on the future land use plan is identified as proposed to be mixed use. There's a full description in your staff report. The recommended districts are planned unit development, C4, planned business, or T&D, traditional neighborhood development. Generally, a small-scale retail and commercial use is proposed for the site, according to the comprehensive plan. For the record, I'll read these 3 criteria for approval or denial, how this proposed amendment conforms to that general development plan, why the existing zoning district classification of the property is inappropriate or improper, and the major economic, physical, or social changes which have occurred in the vicinity of the property in question that were not anticipated by the general development plan, and it substantially altered the basic character of the area, and it makes this proposed amendment appropriate. And the applicant did provide responses to each of those in your staff report for their justification. A little bit about the plan. Generally, there's no residential proposed. It's a strictly commercial development. The base zone, which they modeled their uses after, started with a C2, which is a highway commercial. From that list, they screened out a lot of the things that were either unfeasible or unreasonable with the site and stuff that they thought we maybe would not want to see. So the only allowable uses are included in your staff report. The 23 allowable uses and the 3 conditional uses is what they're proposing. The general lot arrangement that you see on the site plan there is the proposed lot arrangement. Lots could be combined to account for bigger acreage. But generally, the road diagram that you see is what would be proposed. Most notably about this site, lots 6, 9, 10, and 13 that abut Mackinville Road will not have direct Mackinville Road access. It will be internal with the street. And you can see on lot 19 is the proposal for a big box site to be set in the rear of the property. Along with the uses in the PUD document, they did provide some additional design regulations that go above and beyond what we typically require. Some brick requirements, some screening of some standard building materials that we don't require. So they did go above and beyond our requirements for the design regs. It does have access to public water and sanitary sewer. This is the site that the agreement's been signed to temporarily allow Nesbitt Water to service the site. It's been approved. And so once City of Hernando Water accesses the site, it would be under City of Hernando Water as well. This was heard by the Planning Commission at our last meeting and recommended unanimously for approval. They did offer some conditions to bring to you guys for consideration. They did request the following items be moved to conditional use. Item 16, which is the manufacturing incidental to a retail establishment. The way the applicant described it in the meeting was this is kind of like a candle shop. Maybe if they manufacture candles and let people shop in the store. Hotel was recommended to be moved to conditional use, and the Planning Commission asked for an additional standalone definition be created for CBD vape or cannabis store, and that be moved to conditional use as well. The bulk requirements in the PUD document show setbacks and height and the such, and are typical with this commercial application. Most notably, there's no restriction on height. There is a proposed use for a hotel, but they did not include a height requirement to not trigger a variance request in the future. This is a PUD, so this would serve as a preliminary plat. So if approved tonight, the next step would be then submitting construction documents. Another condition the Planning Commission did ask us to bring to your attention was a consideration of a clause that if there's 4 years and no construction activity started, that the board consider reverting the zoning. We did some research, and it's already in the ordinance where after 2 years of inactivity, the board has the power to revert the zoning, so it sounds like we're covered there. But just for your consideration from the Planning Commission, they thought that would be of note. I did provide proposed motions to approve, deny, or table in your staff report, and the full plan text is listed in the rear of your staff report if you got any questions. Michelle and Ben are here, represent the applicant, and I'm available if you got any questions.
Also, I have a quick question. Go ahead.
No, you can go first, I'm sorry.
You better look and go ahead.
Well, I go then. On that note, What's typically is the start time, and you look at these experts out here along with Joe. What's the typical start time from approval on the rezoning to the actual start of construction? I heard you say that you looked at our ordinance and it said 2 years, and this is asking for 4 years. So what's the typical start of construction? That could mean just go out and put up one building or pour a slab, I guess.
That was discussed in the meeting, of what start means. Does that mean
Right.
bringing water to the site, or does that mean vertical construction? To answer your question directly, it varies. There's some PUDs that get started the next day, and some are just based on market condition. So it's kind of like Hernando West, for example, has not been completely started, but we've approved some PUDs that go under construction in a couple of months, so kind of depends.
So basically, Hernando West, Madison Lakes, places like that, if somebody was to really pull the rig, they could say, this need to be brought up to revert back to the past rezoning. Is I'm reading it correct?
Yes, sir. In our ordinance, if there's 2 years of inactivity, the board, it says may consider, so it doesn't say shall, so it just gives you the power to revisit if you'd like to see.
Thank you.
Do you know the footage away from the school? I mean, can a cannabis store even go in there? Is it too close?
I did not measure it. I think it's too close. It feels too close because it abuts the property to the south.
What's the definition of a mini warehouse?
Mini storage.
Mini storage?
I've got a question. Which zones are hotels just allowed in by right?
C2 and C3 downtown.
So my comment on that is, we got lots of places that are zone C2 where we might not want a hotel, but it's gonna go there because it's already zoned. But this is right by an interstate. If you're gonna have hotels, that's where they go. So I don't see a reason to make hotels a conditional use in a parcel that's adjacent to an interstate. So that's just my opinion. I don't get a vote, but I wanted to voice that. Anybody else?
I didn't hear the planning commission's reasoning for that. I do agree with that. Conditional use for the idea that because of the close proximity to the high school. Obviously hotels have a lot of coming and going from there. The height of the hotel, some of these other things that I would think would need to be taken under consideration for a conditional use. So I think that's a reasonable thing to put there. I do think that many warehouses are going to be something that the community wouldn't want, to see next to a high school. I think all of us really think is going to be, the crown jewel for the area. I mean, it's a $120 million high school. It's going to be the nicest one in the county. So I think that's one of the thoughts there. So I would rather just seen that taken out of the conditional use, and then those other two items moved to conditional, 10 and 16. Was it 10? Yeah, 10 and 16. Would we need to address that in our motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's not tied to what Commissioner Jordan proposed?
It would just need to be unique in your motion.
Okay.
I did listen to the planning meeting. The hotel concern, Ben, was the proximity to the school. They voiced that same concern.
Okay.
I don't remember who did, but I think
It
somebody.
was Commissioner Maxon, I believe. Kind
I
of
really- It's hard for me to understand what's a negative is gonna be by having a nice hotel by the school. I mean, you got people traveling to, you're probably gonna have state events, and especially with, we putting in that big Y out there, and we're gonna have possibly all that competitive swim, and people gonna be coming in, and you're gonna tell me that we're gonna send them to South Haven for a hotel, and I mean, it's just.
No, I think it's just conditional on what
Well, I mean,
what it
that-
is.
that's
I
my
mean, you're
point.
saying a nice hotel that it could be a nice hotel and it could be one that's not. So I think that's the conditional use,
So
right?
what's your definition for a hotel, nice or bad hotel?
I think it just depends on the organizational value of whoever you're talking to.
It's just personal preference. There's no definition saying, it's personal preference. you can't give me no verbiage on it. It's gotta be personal preference.
Okay,
I don't have
it
no
could
problem
be-
with it being a condition of use. I just don't have a problem with it being around the high school because it could be used even by events that's happening at the school. That's my whole point. And then the why and everything else, so. I don't have no problem with being in the condition of use
Yeah.
area.
Yeah, but that's your position, to make it a conditional use, right? Not to
Yeah,
exclude it.
correct, yeah, just to make it a conditional use, so that way there can be an additional
They have to
layer of
come back and
review.
explain what kind of, we'd see what
Correct.
kind of operation we're looking at.
Correct.
What other questions y'all have?
I mean, I do think this is something that everybody knows that this corridor is, gonna be a commercial corridor, and this is something that will bring a lot of, a lot of positive, whether from a revenue standpoint, whatever else. I think that they're doing the best they can based on what I can see from trying to work within the existing. I mean, there's gonna have to be some trees that come down. I think that's always something that is, that's a concern, but they're trying to work however they can with the existing trees that are there and also the existing topography, with the, or not just topography, but just with the way the river runs and everything else. So I think it'll be a minimal disruption from that standpoint as well. So I think it's gonna be something really positive for, for Ward 6 and for Hernando.
But for sure, no vape, cannabis, all that. Okay.
I don't think cannabis can go there. Now vape, I guess, probably could.
Yeah, no vape.
What, is it
As of
1,200?
right now.
Is it 1,200 feet from a high school?
I think it's
Parcel?
1,000.
1,000,
That's
yeah.
the cannabis, right?
Is
Right.
it from the front door of the school or from the front door, like to the
Property.
property
Property
line?
line, yeah.
So I mean, it's 68 acres. I mean, I don't know.
I think they just wanted to clarify, just to kind of write that out.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather just
Not have any of that, yeah.
knock all that out. If the applicant's like amenable to it.
There are no more questions at this moment for Austin. Mr. Johnson, would you like to come up and speak?
Ben Johnson with Randall Commercial Group, 850 Insight Park Drive, University, Mississippi. And I want to start by thanking Austin and Chip, and also met with Ben along the way. When we first considered this project, Ben, you mentioned that being the crown jewel area. The new high school coming in absolutely was the driver for us deciding that the time was right to come in and do this project in that location. And, I felt like from the very beginning, the project wasn't worth pursuing if we didn't feel like we had the support of the city and the enthusiasm. So there's been a lot of phone calls and meetings and discussion up until this point, and obviously along with Michelle Yee and Bob Dahlhoff as well, and Nick Croonin with Civil Inc., our civil engineer on the project. So, we just, again, felt like the timing was right for this project. And as Austin mentioned, we took the C2 ordinance, which we feel like, obviously, with Mackinville and the interstate, that was the appropriate list to start with. And we started to cull that list, and that led us to what's being presented to you right now. Now, as far as, our initial interest in the project, as far as, a standalone vape shop or something like that, I mean, that's not the type of end user that we're trying to hang our hat on here. So that doesn't bother me at all, and I understand the reasoning of not wanting that in proximity, a store that focuses on that type of sale. So I will say this, I had the same, when I left the Planning Commission meeting, I was driving back to, I live in Greenwood, Mississippi, our office is in Oxford. And I was a bit perplexed about the hotel being a conditional use, and I'll elaborate a little more on how that affects me in terms of trying to develop the project. There was some discussion about phasing, and we always felt like this was going to be a great site for a hotel. Just honestly, due to the proximity of the school and the YMCA, it was mentioned about swim meets, athletic events, maybe hosting. I mean, that school is I don't know if I've ever seen one nicer in Mississippi or outside. You know, I've developed all of the Southeast, and that was really what was in mind with that, you know, you have a lot of people coming to visit Hernando, and I know that there have been hotels approved on the southwest side, but, you know, who knows if we get out of the gate and we're ready to go, if we beat them to market, and I don't know how you could determine if somebody's definitely going to do that, but I believe it was 3 hotels approved on the southwest corner on a, is that 15, 20 acre site, roughly. You know, we're 68, so I just, the conditional use where it presents a problem, and I can understand you don't want 10 hotels on the site. I don't think that would ever happen, but ideally our phase 1, Austin, are we able to pull up that site layout? Austin did such a good job presenting that, I thought I may just be able to drive back home, but I can kind of walk you guys through what we've got in mind as far as a phase 1. There we go. So the lot, basically the stacked lots that are along Mackinville Road, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and possibly 13. We may leave off 12 and have 13 depending on interest, which, and Nick Cronin's not here, our civil engineer. I believe that's about 15 acres, roughly. It would be, you know, starting adjacent to the school on the northwest corner and going down to kind of where that MDOT right-of-way ends. I don't think we would make it to lot 14 in phase 1. So where we kind of get, you know, we're talking about the timing on this. Right now we have good interest from national retailers, restaurants, medical end users. There is also a hotel that we're in discussion with. Obviously, that's confidential, and I can't share that at the moment, although, you know, you guys, if we're getting close to kicking off, the city would have more information on that. But where we kind of get into a chess match here is the cost of construction's through the roof. Right now, I anticipate this being a civil project. In other words, just coming in and putting in the curb and gutter and city streets and utilities and obviously some of the on-site detention. But, you know, really for us to feel like we're able to move forward with the project in today's economic environment, you know, we need 3 commits. We would feel great if we had 4. And what a conditional use does is it gives that end user, the buyer, it gives them leverage with me about needing longer to, well, now we've got to go through our own due diligence, and we also have to get you know, we have to get this approval from the city, but we want to do A, B, C, and D, and E before we go to the city. So it just takes it longer, especially with the possibility of having a hotel in phase 1. So that's a challenge that I have from a development standpoint as far as trying to time it right, to be able to break ground and feel like we have the not just interest or strong interest, but the firm commitment of contract and get them past a certain point in their due diligence to where we're able to break ground. Now, I highly doubt we're sitting here, if this project's approved in 2 years and nothing's been done out there, but we absolutely would not, under any circumstance, go in and break ground and develop just lot 6 or just lot 9. That's really not the way we're set up. That's never been the viewpoint or the goal for this project. Now, I will say this: we talked about kind of a mid-sized box in the back. You know, maybe a big box if it were something that the city, you know, were viewed as a positive. Now, if we had interest in that along with interest in our phase 1, I could see where we go in and do phase 1 and part of a phase 2 all at the same time. And that, to me, would be, you know, a best-case scenario, sort of a home run. as far as getting a good, something that the city would be excited about, a good end user. But, you know, we really, going back to talking about the quality of a hotel, you know, our design standards are above and beyond what is customary just for C2. And just looking at, you know, what's going to be the cost of development there. I mean, I can't imagine somebody coming in and doing a substandard. I think it's just going to be cost prohibitive personally. But again, we're really excited about this project. I mean, it's something that, again, I feel like us coming in and hopefully bringing to market formally. I've also had my hands tied a little bit as far as, you know, we can't negotiate. I've been sort of hesitant to just roll out the red carpet on the advertising because we're zoned ag right now, and it's very important that, you know, that we hopefully can come to an agreement to get this approved so we can begin really hashing out the details with the people we have interest in so far. But, you know, again, the high school, Delta Landing, all of that. And I also want to thank you guys. Water was a huge issue. And, you know, I met with Chip and Austin, and through brainstorming with them and Nick Croonin, we were able to come up with the idea to temporarily use Nesbitt water until you guys get your line out there. You know, I would not be standing here right now if we weren't able to get that worked out. So I do want to thank you guys for that vote back in September to get us temporary out there. So hopefully we can move forward and give you guys a good reason to bring the line out there and make it, hopefully be able to substantiate that to your, to everyone else, the citizens and everybody else, that the money would be well spent. So really that's, you know, obviously you have plenty of information in front of you on the PUD. Are there any questions for me that I haven't covered or that Austin hasn't covered?
Can I ask you a question? So what you're saying, your position is, if we make a hotel a conditional use, that's going to make it prohibitive for somebody to develop a hotel there? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it would be difficult because we're just doing a civil project. We're just selling lots. I'm not coming in unless somebody really needs me to, or is unable to build a building, or they just don't. A lot of times we see this with our medical end users, a doctor. You know, I don't know anything about real estate. Will you come in and build it for me and own it for me, and I'll rent it from you, lease it from you long term? I'm certainly open to that. But with it being just a civil project, just with the cost of construction, I've got to know that I've got at least 3 of those lots accounted for if we do 8 or 10, ideally 4. And with it being a conditional use,
Chance it may not get approved.
it's a chance it may not get approved, but typically there's a certain amount of due diligence that you know, a hotel developer or anybody else may want to go through, and it could cause them to say, all right, instead of 120 days, I need 180, or I need 200 or 220, because I want to go through my checklist, and I don't want to look bad in front of, you know, whoever the name on the hotel is, you know, who they want to have everything checked. It could delay the project, and that's my only concern, just kind of echoing what Mayor Johnson was saying. You know, I always envision there being, you know, a hotel or 2 out on the site, just with it being at the interstate.
I think we don't have a problem with hotels, the kind of hotel it is.
Right.
Make sure it's something nice, which our design standards, I think, pretty much cover that. My second question is, what is your position on removing mini warehouses from an acceptable use?
You know, that's not really a big end use that I'm hanging my hat on for the project. What I do think about is, you think about the part of the site that's going to be developed and really seen from the interstate and Mackinbell Road. There's 70 acres there to fill out. I mean, there's not a commercial development this size in Hernando. I do think about down the road, you know, it would probably make me feel better to have it be a conditional use, and then, you know, who's to say if maybe on the backside of one of those lots, somebody wanted to come in and do one all brick. That's my thought, just thinking out loud about it. No, I don't think it's going to be something main and main on there, but I just, having that many acres to develop and knowing we're going wall-to-wall commercial, I just hate to limit something that could maybe fit in nicely somewhere in the back on a small scale, but no, I don't imagine something like that being across the front of the site. I really don't.
Thank you.
Add a
Yes,
couple of
go
things.
ahead.
Hi, Michelle Yu, DT Design Studio, 1350 Concourse Avenue. Just wanted to give a few more tidbits of information for these two items. So I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but really kind of a hotel user would want to have more of that highway frontage. And so in that area, we would be looking at about 1,000 feet or more from the high school. So I think that, you know, proximity is not going to be as critical of an issue for something like a hotel user. And it would be good to have something on this side where they could potentially walk to the high school or the YMCA if there's an event that is attracting people to stay in the area. And then as far as mini warehouses go, I also agree that if we can keep it as a conditional use, we worked with other cities and towns where, you know, you can have a really nice looking frontage for that mini storage facility. So making it a conditional use would allow y'all to see, kind of, you know, again, that's not one of the first phase type uses, but it would give y'all an option to consider in the future.
Thank you, Michelle.
Any other questions?
What would the maximum height be on a hotel? Like, would they have to come back for a variance for that, or is it in the PUD document? I'm just trying to find it.
It's not restricted, and so the height has been restricted on the hotel.
Typically, what we see is where you run into you only going so high due to the parking. You know, the site size getting so big. In a market like Hernando, I wouldn't imagine somebody skyscraper in out there.
And I believe that we kind of agreed to not put a high limit in there after talking with Austin, just because of issues with variances in the past. You know, we want to make sure that this is going to be good for the future.
Do we have a height limit based on fire safety?
No, we don't.
No.
Chief, I'll let you speak to that.
Okay.
What else do y'all have to, what are the concerns? Is there anyone here to speak on this topic tonight? There are no other concerns, or if there are, voice them. If not, is there a motion?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve an application by DT Design representing the owner of the property for a zoning map amendment, preliminary development plan approval, Mackinville Exchange is detailed in the attached proposal. The subject property is located on the north side of I-269, east side of Mackinville, in Section 32, Township 2, Range 7, based upon the following findings 1 through 3, with the conditional use 3 in the staff report removed, and conditional, item 16 moved to conditional use.
Second. Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes.
Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate
sir.
everything. Austin, you got rid of me for a little while.
You got 2 years, man, you got 2 years.
Item 15 is PL 1891, the May minor subdivision. Austin, if you would present that for us. I see that Ms. May is in the audience, so we'll have you up in a moment.
Yes, sir. PL 1891. The request is for a preliminary and final approval of a minor subdivision of 7 lots on 1.72 acres, north side of Oak Grove Road, east of Fletcher Road. The property is currently zoned R10, which allows for a 10,000 square foot lot. So the setbacks in your staff report show the setbacks that were required for R10 zoning. With this being a preliminary and final, at the same time, it's a bit out of the box. The reason for which is there's no road construction proposed. All of the homes you see on the plat, the home sites are proposed to remain. So lots 1 and 3 already have a house on it, and that will remain. 2 and 4 are proposed to be new lots. Down Fletcher Street, 3 lots are proposed on a private 25-foot driveway. Ingress egress easements provided with the utility easement. And so we did send this to engineering just for comment. And what was recommended was there is a hill at the corner of Oak Grove and Fletcher that creates a sightline issue. And so one of the conditions in here is to remove that hill upon satisfaction of the city engineer, because it is pretty bad if you're sitting on Fletcher trying to take a left onto Oak Grove. So that's one of the conditions we listed in the staff report, if you see fit to approve. And the second of which is to provide for a finished floor elevation on lots 5, 6, and 7. They're not located in the floodplain. There's no existing drainage concerns, but they are low. And so just to try to address anything in the future, we've requested that the engineer establish finished floor elevations for any proposed homes on that private driveway. In the proposed motion, the conditions I just talked about is number 9, the finished floor elevations, and number 1 would be the existing hill to be removed at Fletcher and Oak Grove for the site distance. In total, there's 7 lots for 1.72 acres, all of which meet the minimum lot size of 10,000 square foot. And this is an infill development, so kind of filling in the gaps of where some gaps were left previously. Ms. Mays is here tonight, and I'm available if you've got any questions.
Any questions of Austin?
Where is the shared driveway? Does it show it on
It's
this?
that shaded area on Fletcher.
Oh, the utility easement?
It's the 25-foot ingress egress and utility easement.
Okay.
That's the paved driveway. It would be required to be asphalted or
Okay.
concrete, and it would provide access to lots 6 and 7.
Gotcha, okay.
Is the manhole in that driveway?
No,
No.
it's further south.
Is it? Okay.
So it's further south on Fletcher.
Oh, okay, I got you.
And is the Lot 3 driveway going to be redone to be off of Lot 4? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
No other questions for Austin. Ms. Mays, did you want to speak? Y'all have any questions for Ms. Mays? Okay. If there are no questions, is there a motion?
Motion to grant preliminary and final plat approval for the A. Mays Manor subdivision, 7 lots on 1.72 acres, located on the north side of Oak Grove Road, east side of Fletcher Street, in section 13, township 3, range 8, based upon the finding that the submitted plat, final plat general conform to the requirements of the city codes and ordinance, subject to the following condition 1 through 9 as listed.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion passes. We'll move on to item 16, PL 1892, the Chapel Grove Phase 3.
Yes, so this is Phase 3 of the Chapel Grove PUD subdivision, northwest side of Robertson Gin Road, southwest of Pondview Circle. Abuts Montclair subdivision and Robertson Gin Road. Greg Smith's here tonight representing this application. This is Phase 3, so it's an additional 18 lots on 16.2 acres. The road is already installed, water sewer's already installed, so he's just asking for final plat approval. The rezoning was approved in 2019, and with it being a PUD, that served as the preliminary plat. With that preliminary plat, this proposal does substantially conform to that preliminary proposal. And the plat's listed in your staff report. As you can see, it's the lots on the southern end of the circle. If you come in the subdivision, you come around the curve, lots 35 through 53. We did recommend to include the same conditions for covenants as the previous sections. And I did provide a proposed motion in your staff report, available if you got any questions.
Are there any questions?
How many more lots are left for final plats, or is this the last one?
There's one more on the north side, roughly the same size on the north side of the road.
Okay.
Is there anyone here to speak on this topic? If there are no other questions, is there a motion?
Make a motion to, go ahead.
Go ahead. I make a motion to grant final plat approval for Chapel Grove PUD Phase 3, 18 lots, consisting of 16.20 acres, located on the northwest side of Robertson Gin Road, southwest of Pondview Circle, northeast of Green Village Drive, in Section 23, Township 3, Range 8, based upon the finding that the submitted final plat generally conforms to the approved preliminary plan for the plan unit development and generally meets the requirements of the city's codes and ordinances, subject to the following conditions, items 1 through 10. Excuse me, 1 through 12.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion passes. Item 17 is PL 1894, Getwell and Holly Springs.
Yes, sir. The next two applications are very similar. 1894 is a final subdivision request for Holly Springs and Getwell's C4 commercial rezoning. Shane King's tonight representing the owner of the property. The request is for approval of 1 lot on 2 acres. This was a previously approved C4 commercial zoning approved in 2004. So that served as a preliminary plat when it came through. The lot already exists on the tax roll. This is just to record it with Chancery. It's the site of the community store at Holly Springs and Getwell. It's currently under design review and finishing up its review process with everyone. The proposed motion is listed in your staff report for 1 lot on 2 acres, and Shane's here tonight if you've got any questions.
Any questions on this final plat? If not, is there a motion?
Motion to grant final plat approval to Shane King with Houston Engineering representing the owner of the property for 1 lot on 2 acres. The subject property is located on the south side of Holly Springs Road, west of Getwell Road in Section 21, Township 3 and Range 7, and generally meets the requirements of the city's code and ordinances subject to the following conditions 1 through 8.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Item 18 is PL 1895, Pleasant Hill and Mackinville.
Yes, sir. Similar to the last application, this is a request for final subdivision at Pleasant Hill and Mackinville Road. Shane King is here tonight with this application as well. The request is for 1 lot on 4 acres. Similar to the last, the lot already exists in the tax roll. It's just a plat recorded with Chancery so they can proceed with building permitting. The lot was also zoned C4 in 2024. The setbacks are in accordance with that plan unit development. This does require full improvement of Mackinville along the frontage of Pleasant Hill and on Mackinville. So the hill that was in question with the previous, during the zoning, will be a part of this application when the grading permit's issued. I did provide a proposed motion with similar conditions as the last application, and I'm available if you got any questions.
Any questions? If not, can I have a motion on this item?
There, a motion to grant final plat approval to Shane King with Houston Engineering representing the owner of the property for 1 lot on 4 acres. The subject property is located on the south side of Pleasant Hill Road, west of Mackinville Road in Sections 30, Township 2 and Range 7. Generally meets the requirements of the city's code and ordinances subject to the following conditions 1 through 9.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Item 19 is PL 1897, Chapel Grove subdivision, first revision.
Yes, sir. 1897, the request is from Brandon Gustafson. A house is currently under construction in Chapel Grove. And between lot 9 and 10, you can see the lot 10's frontage along John Thomas Code is very narrow. And in the process of pouring a driveway, the builders discovered that the driveway of lot 10 is over on lot 9 by a few feet. And so the request is to move the lot line a few feet between the 2 lots just to accommodate the driveway so it's not on the other lot. And the builders are both in agreement, and so once platted, this would fix the issue of the driveway that they had. And then the proposed motions in your staff report. and the planning commission did recommend for approval. I'm available if you got any questions.
Any questions? If not, is there a motion?
Motion to grant final plat approval for Chapel Grove PUD first revision as shown on the attached plat located on the northwest side of Robertson Gin Road, southwest of Pondview Circle, northeast of Green Village Drive in Section 23, Township 3, Range 8, based upon the finding that the submitted final plat generally conforms to the approved preliminary plan for the plan unit development and generally meets the requirements of the city's codes and ordinances.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Item 20 is a proposed amendment to the required off-street parking requirements in the C3 district. Austin?
Yes, sir. This is something the mayor and I have discussed for a while. It's kind of been on the back burner. But in C3 zoning, which is downtown, so there's two pockets of C3 in the city. One's here in downtown Hernando around the square, and the other's around the Nesbitt Square at Dean and Nesbitt Road. And those two maps are in your staff report to kind of give you an idea of where those two districts are. But in C3 downtown, we found out that all the businesses we have currently are in non-compliance. And anything that was built new downtown would either need a variance or would have to build a parking lot, which would not be possible. And so kind of just to get rid of that discussion and that gray area that's existed for a very long time in both of our downtowns, my proposal is just to get rid of the parking minimum. And so it could incentivize someone to do a private parking lot, which I don't know if is going to happen, but it would take the burden off the businesses downtown to have to provide their own parking or have to go through the variance process when there's the businesses share parking. We did some research in some other kind of smaller downtowns, and this is kind of something common. The closest was Jackson, Tennessee, where their businesses, it's not possible to be compliant with the parking minimum, so they just got rid of it. And so that's what we're proposing, is just the C3 district only. The rest of the city is either C1, C2, or C4, and that has parking requirements like Walmart and Kroger. This would be strictly for downtown. So that's the proposal, is just to get rid of the parking minimum in the C3 downtown district.
I'll tell you, one of the things that started this discussion is, we know the big vacant lot on the square where there used to be a two-story building there years ago that burned. The owner had told me at one point that one of the people who was interested just kind of disappeared because they had heard that we were going to require a lot of parking to go with that building. And of course, we know that there's no way to put parking with that building, but she felt like she lost a sale because people thought they would have to conform to the in-place parking regulations. And so this would clear up things like that, because we know when we go to a downtown, people park just wherever they can. And there are, we do also have an old study we did that shows there are literally hundreds of free parking spots near the square and on the side streets available, so.
Yeah, one of the conferences we've been to, they said that it's not to have minimums for downtown. Like, that's what they suggested, some planners. I can't remember who it was, but, so.
That was probably at a Mississippi Main Street conference.
Maybe so.
Have we had a lot of requests for variances, like, for these situations?
Colin McCrary requested variance when he redid the Times building. And we've met with the Flynn's when their proposal under the water tower, they'd have to get a variance if they came through. The McCrarys are the only one I've known. And to be honest, you know, when a use change, so theoretically if there's an empty space on the square and it would change to a restaurant, the change to a restaurant is what would trigger these good discussions about needing a variance. And I think in years past, it's just kind of been an unspoken rule of where if something moves in on the square, it kind of happens. I'd like to kind of just clean up the rules where it's officially on paper.
I remember a development that didn't happen because of parking on North 51 in the area a few years ago. Anyway.
Is it like just the square and directly around it, or like, I know that I just want to like have it firmly in my head.
On the second page there, everything in yellow is what zone C3. So that's downtown.
I don't think we have
Ours
color
black and
maps.
white.
Mine's on colors.
We were saving money by printing black and white.
I got you.
I know, it's like, can't really tell.
It's in color in the
Pam's
Dropbox.
got a
We
color.
can see C3.
You gotta go in the minutes.
Yeah.
So that's, everything in yellow is C3. So the
Oh,
square,
okay.
Main Street, over to Northview, and then up to kind of where Fratello's is. Nesbit is just the Nesbit Square. That's where we're doing the sidewalk.
Okay.
That's it, just in C3.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
So people are able to put, a little red cone down to reserve their parking places in places I see, in that same little district.
I've noticed people putting those up.
I just see that all the time. I think we had a long discussion about that no one will be guaranteed a parking place, but they don't have to be guaranteed now, because they put their little orange cones out and block that particular place. I just wonder.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Oh, what? You must have been on Memphis Street then. Every day.
Interesting.
I mean, I could be
Yes, I have seen it
colorblind.
on
That's not
Memphis
in
Street.
color.
I've seen it in
I've seen it on
parking
Memphis Street.
lots, like private parking lots.
No, I'm talking about public street.
Yeah, all the,
Memphis Street.
just to be clear, all the parking spots up and down Memphis Street are public.
Except the one with the red cone on.
Well, I park where those red cones are. I'll move them when I see them.
But even in front of the condos there?
Yes, those are public.
What he's talking about.
Yeah.
I know, but I'm just saying, those are always blocked off. I
They're
thought those were
public spots,
private.
yeah.
I
No,
thought
that
those were
was
private.
specific, that was specific stated when those was approved. I'm right.
And there's also someone on Panola Street who puts a cone in a spot every day too.
I think that's a separate issue.
It is,
I
yeah.
support this, and I think this is another way
Absolutely.
to eliminate the perception that we're against
Yeah,
businesses.
I'm with
We're-
you,
We're
Jay.
we're open up for business, so.
I'm
Yes,
with Jay.
I make that motion.
I'll second that.
All right, then you
The
got it.
motion in 3 seconds.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. Thank y'all, that one passed. Item 21, Joe Frank, would you like to come up and present this? This is the approval of the lowest and best bid of $661,474.50 from Farrell Paving, Inc. for the Mackingville Road and Green Tea East Travel Circle project.
Okay, we received bids last week, had 2 bidders that bid on the project. Farrell Paving and who was the other?
Phillips.
Phillips Contracting, who did 51 Highway roundabout. So Farrell Paving was the lowest bid. You can see the bid right there, so.
There was quite a big number in between there. Do you feel comfortable with them? I mean, it's, I think $250,000, wasn't it, difference?
Yeah.
Their bids were pretty close to the same quantity bids as on the other job.
Okay.
My estimate was a little bit higher than that,
Just a big
because I
difference
just
in-
thought, they would raise their price a little bit.
And if this is the same company that did the Holly Springs and Mackinville?
It is.
And we're happy with the quality of that job.
That looks really good.
Yes.
Everybody's like so happy. Or at least the folks I've talked to, that it's open.
They've said June the 9th. We're going to meet out there the week before. They want me to have everything laid out for them so they can look at it the week before June the 9th. And come together with a certain plan that we're going to need to, make it all work, I'm going to need 30 working days to get it done based on how we worked on the other roundabout. But they do sub out some of the work, so you can have more than one crew out there working the same day in different locations.
Mid-July, we have this thing done?
Sir?
Mid-July, you think we could have this project done before the school opens?
Well, I hope so.
30 business
When
days.
the school open, what,
July
Everything,
31st.
well, if everything's perfect, 30 working days, 30 business days would, does that include weekends?
Working day, man.
no, that doesn't include weekends, they can work
Right.
on them.
It'd be July 21st if everything was perfect and there was no rain, there was no delay.
You gotta count for rain.
Yeah.
It's gonna be perfect. Perfect conditions.
Y'all did great on Holly Springs Macabell, even though we had quite a bit of rain. Y'all came through really, really, really good on that.
Well, it helps sometimes when they sub out things and I have more than one crew working,
Yeah.
in different locations. That makes it go a lot faster.
And plus, being able to open it up a little bit and then close it back down, it gave people at least it kind of took some of the, especially with mine being detoured through Summit Drive. It took some of that traffic off of that, and
It got pretty heavy going around the subdivision.
It did, but it's over with now, so.
What did Joe Frank request was that y'all need to come to Sentoba?
I don't know.
That one's dragging on forever.
That one
Still not
is.
open?
Businesses are closing because that one's taking so
Down
long.
there Sunday.
Y'all have any other questions for Joe on this item?
I'm serious.
If not, is there a motion to accept the lowest and best bid?
Motion.
Second.
That's bad.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Item 23 is the approval of the change order from Nixon General Contractors, Inc. for
Skip
22,000.
22, Mayor.
Oh, did I skip 22?
Yes, sir.
Sorry about that. That's the approval of the recommendation from Neil Schaefer of the award for the 2024 EWP program to WG Harold Construction with the lowest bid of $682,523.50. Any questions on that one? I do want to talk about that one just a minute. We had budgeted 1.2 million or so. This came in way under. We did inquire to see if we could submit other projects and use up to the 1.2 million. The answer is no. We were just approved for this project. And so
Where is this project located at?
it's in 4 different places.
Is it Andrews, that one he talked about, is that in there?
No, it's not, but that's on the list, hopefully for the next time. The one down here on South Street? Yeah, because we were trying to get that one done in this, and we came to the conclusion it can't happen. Vince checked with everybody at EWP and with the purchasing laws, and we couldn't just stick it in there with it. So it is coming in under budget. It doesn't save us money, but it saves the EWP program money, because this was 100% money. So it is what it is on that one.
So what are the areas?
One of them is right there by Redemption Church. There's a ditch there on that side of Highway 51. There's another one up in Deer Creek, what's the name of that cove back there? And then what's the cove that you live in?
Yeah, it's Deer Creek Trail or something.
Yeah. And then there's one on Terra Drive, isn't there? Yeah. And if y'all remember, I've stated it once, I'll say it again, this was a kind of a one-time deal. Usually we have a 25% match. This is a project that was 0 match, it's 100% money.
We saved half the money we budgeted for it, almost, right?
Yes.
Mayor, I'll make a motion, we approve the award.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Now we'll move on to the change order from Nixon General Contractors for $22,782.10 for the Mostiff Renaissance Park Phase 1 per Kimley Horn's recommendation. This is some change orders that we had kind of anticipated. The electrical stuff, they don't really check it out all the way until they get on site and see what's there. So Whitfield showed us some extra things they needed. Kimley Horn agreed, and that's what these are for. So the first one's for the Renaissance Park phase, and the next one on item 24 is going to be the phase 2, the ballpark. If y'all have questions, Jared may have a little more information if y'all need to ask. But the engineers that we have employed have recommended these, and they are, we had 40,000 budgeted in that item. Okay, so we're going a little over on the allowance in the Mostiff, but it'll shift to this other.
And we have owners
Any other questions on item 23?
So you're saying this project will use all the contingency money? Or change order money, I'm sorry?
Yes,
For the Moses project? Okay.
Is there a motion on item 23?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. And with this, we discussed item 24, which is the Phase 2 one for $11,293.70. Is there a motion on that one?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion passes. Item 25 is the recommendation of Kimley Horn and Associates to the Board of Aldermen to be selected as the design firm for splash pad and nature play design services at Renaissance Park and for contract negotiations to begin. There was a committee put together that scored them, and the recommendation of Kimley Horn and Associates to be the ones we engage in that was made. If there's no questions, is there a motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And that motion passes. Item 26, Chief, would you like to come up? It's to authorize the out-of-rank pay of $72 per 24-hour shift when fire and paramedics are detailed over to be the paramedic on the ambulance and are required to perform the duties and assume the responsibility of a transport paramedic. Y'all have any questions for the chief on that one?
Our conversation, you think this will save us money in the long run?
Oh, I believe my total overall salary budget, it will save me money.
And you said most of the other local agencies have something similar already in place.
Every one of them do.
Will you give just like a brief synopsis of it for people who are watching, just to
Sure.
kind of
So
explain it?
basically, we have fire medics. Those are medics that are on the fire truck. They're specifically there to help the medics when they're on the scene with the ambulance, or if an ambulance is not in town, they can render advanced life support until an ambulance from outside town comes in. Sometimes we have medics, I mean, obviously, we've got a good bit of medics now, but the longer they're here, the more vacation time they have, the more sick time they have. So when somebody calls in sick, that's one piece of apparatus. If there's not a medic on it, we have to have a medic come in and work. It's not like a fire truck where we can kind of wiggle numbers. You have to have a medic. So when that happens, it's normally during summertime, hunting season. It's the time that nobody wants to work overtime. So then we have to mandatory somebody, and that's never a great thing, especially for those medics that are on ambulance all the time, because obviously the last couple of days, they just get beat down. What this will allow me to do, which we already do right now anyway, is we will take one of our fire medics, worst case scenario, put them on the ambulance and pretty much make them do that job. That job is way more extensive than the job that they're paid to do. Because then it takes, what they have to do now is answer to the doctor when they drop them off at the hospital of what they did, what they didn't do, why they did it, why they didn't do it. And as you know, some of our ambulances, when they go to the hospital, they get stuck there for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, sitting on the wall with that patient. So basically, all this is doing is, when I have to call somebody in, or even if I'm looking for overtime, it'll get these fire medics more excited to jump over there and do that part of the job, which is not a desired job to do. So it's just basically compensating them for the amount of work and responsibility increase that they're going to have by being on that ambulance.
Any other questions or concerns on that item?
Could you share with the board publicly again why you bring this up prior to the new budget?
Well, first off, it's something that's been needing to be done for a long time. I mean, anytime you're added responsibility and then you're not compensated for it, is understood when it's done in little amounts of time. What's happening is we're having to do this a tremendous amount of times. So we're throwing extra responsibility on people at a much more pace than we normally do. And all we're trying to do is compensate them. Because there's an extreme difference between the pay of a fireman that's a medic on the fire truck and the pay for a medic that's on the ambulance. I mean, there's a big difference in pay. And the reason is, for one, the amount of responsibility that they have to have while they're on that ambulance.
And I think you said before that the $72 extra we'll be paying them is a much lower number than we would be paying for time and a half overtime.
Yeah, so if I call
Somebody else
in,
come in as that wasn't.
if I call in right now and we don't have a medic coming in, I got a mandatory medic. Their base pay is tremendously higher than a fire medic's. So it's time and a half of that paramedic's pay that I've made them come into work. Where I could just use as firemen, that their hourly rate is much lower than the transport medic. So, or they may already be at work, and I just shove them over to the side, and that $72, it doesn't completely pay them for what that transport medic makes, but it gets them a lot close to it. So we're basically trying to get them close to that salary while they're doing that specific job and that specific job only.
Without paying overtime.
Without paying overtime.
So it's the overall savings anyway.
Yeah, like some people will obviously make more money, the fire medics will, but what it's going to do is instead of me paying somebody making a tremendous amount of money time and a half, even if I have to call in overtime, a fire medic will come in and do it and their base pay is much lower than a transport medic. So it gives us the ability to, for one, not force somebody to come to work that's already been beat up for a while, because that's our biggest problem is mandatory. We're trying to get rid of mandatory overtime. Nobody's going to take mandatory overtime when they've been beat up. The fire medics don't get beat up near as bad as the transport medics. So when I put it out there and they don't come because they got beat up 2 days ago, I have these other options that I could use, and I'm just wanting to compensate these other options. Since when I do it, this is only going to be given when we mandatory them. Now, if they come in and say, I want to ride the ambulance today, or I feel like I need to be on the ambulance a little bit to kind of hone my skills up a little better, we're not paying them for that. It's whenever we say you have to be on that ambulance that you have no choice, then we will compensate on that $72.
So to answer Alderman Miller's question, the reason we start it now instead of waiting until budget time is it's going to help with your morale in your department and start saving money immediately instead of waiting.
Yes, that's actually how we came up. Yeah, that's actually why we came up with this, is I'm trying to find, because I've still got 3 medics approved to hire, and I've held them off for a while because I'm trying to make sure I can keep my budget in line. The longer I hold them off, obviously, the more it's going to save me in the long run. But adding this, as I talk to the other cities, like what do y'all do to kind of compensate all this extra time that you're having to give, that's where we come up with the out of rank pay, because now you can get somebody here that can capably do the job for less money, and they're willing to do it. So all you're trying to do is just compensate them for saying, hey, you have to go do this and you don't have a choice, which we do right now anyway, and they do it and they don't complain. But at some point in time, you've got to start, when it's happening so often, you got to start compensating them for that little bit of time that you are making them do that.
Our rate of pay for medics still relatively high in the state?
Yes.
If not the highest?
Yeah. South Haven's higher, but that's it. And that's why I will tell you, we have no shortage of applications. Well, I think we interviewed 19 the last time we hired 3. Everybody knows we got 3 more, and I think we're right at 20-something applications right now.
Banging down your door.
No other city has had more than 20 their entire year. So, and the ones that we've gotten have been extremely, extremely well-trained medics.
Any other questions?
Adding a 3rd ambulance, how does that work while you're here? Is that working well? Any issues with that 3rd ambulance?
We're still running out of ambulances, but you can't have enough ambulances. But I will tell you that the times that we have no ambulance at all is dropped dramatically from what it was when we only had 2 ambulances. And it definitely helped 2 nights ago.
Okay. Is there a motion on the item?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Item 27 is just a quick thing. If y'all remember, we preemptively declared an emergency on April 3rd of 2025, thinking there was going to be bad weather, and we just wanted to be ready. And the city clerk has reminded us that we should have ended that in 30 days, and we kind of forgot about it until now. So we just need approval to terminate the emergency declaration of April 3rd, 2025.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are now adjourned.